before we go back in
Yes.
session, I'll just let you know, I want to add one more thing to that list for our last topic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For Sarah or whoever to look into.
Okay.
If we have an agreement with Adair, I would like to know what that agreement actually
It's huge, it's
states.
a 2080, yes. We
Okay.
did the deposit garbage there.
They should be allowing Scott in there when he needs to then.
Chip Schultz,
Hey,
Hey,
Chip.
All right.
good evening.
Hey, Chip, we'll bring this meeting back to order. So before we move on, 2 seconds, Chip, sorry. Before we move on, Mr. Nelson, did you have something to add to that last topic that we had on the table
Yeah,
here?
yeah, I just wanted to have us look into that agreement, if we have an agreement with the Adair County landfill, what that actually states, and if we have to take our garbage there, then they should be allowing Mr. Avey to be dumping when he needs to. Look into that.
Okay. All right. There's no further discussion on that. We'll move to,
There was a hand.
oh, sorry.
I used
Go
to
ahead.
be on the landfill board, and you guys really need to get someone out there. Because right now, from what I'm seeing, when I went about a year ago for Ash and for Dad, you guys are the biggest town there, and they're just doing what the people in Adair County are saying to do. You guys really need to get aboard there. What it is, it's the 28E agreement that the city of Stuart has with the landfill. Now, when I was on it, Adair County,
Corey, I
or
don't-
Adair, Iowa.
Can we pause for a minute? I don't think we can talk about this when Mrs. Church isn't in the room since her agenda item. I think we can hear that Kim says we need to appoint someone, but I don't know if we can go much farther. It's Stephanie's agenda item, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I think we should just take Kim's suggestion and
That we
look
need
into
to-
it.
It's a
Yeah,
28E
Yeah.
agreement that you guys have with the landfill,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
and you really need to get someone out there.
Okay.
to do.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kim. All right, moving forward. B, resolution number 26-17C, resolution approving the tax increment financing application submitted by Central Mart One LLC for the proposed Travel America development and authorizing negotiations of a development agreement. I'll turn this over, Jelly, you want it, or you want to turn it over to Chip?
Nope, I've got it. So, before you use resolution approving just the tax increment finance application, so even if there is approval tonight, there's still a lot of steps that we have to go through with development agreement approval, adopting the TIF ordinance before this is fully buttoned up. But before you use just the TIF application, which is a pay-as-you-go rebate, meaning that the incentives itself that are generated on the property are what would be sent back to the developer and also the city. So as you can see from the packet itself, we provided the 23-year breakout of the tax increment finance rebate. So on the left column here that says potential city portion of TIF, the city between years 1 through 10 would be receiving 65% of what is generated on the property. So out of the $246,000 generated, the city would be getting $160,000 per year. On average, years 11 through 19 would be 50% of the TIF rebate, so the developer does not get above 50%. The initial application that was submitted for last month was a 75% rebate to the developer, only 25% to the city, so this represents almost $4 million that the city gets to generate over 23 years. And so based on the financial side, so working with Chip on this, so capping them at up to $2.25 million, this is a much different project than I think what has been shared previously. So this is 26,000 square feet. When you look at our existing kind of convenience centers or stores, Quick Trip was only 14,000 square feet, Maverick 4,800 square feet, and Casey's 8,400 square feet. So just wanted to kind of put scale into perspective. This is a $21 million private investment. And also, for example, Webster City, a town of 8,800, gave them $1.2 million. So this is something where tax increment finance as a tool is designed where the incentive only takes place if the project does not, if it cannot move forward. So I think one thing we want to share, we did receive some feedback or an email from Quick Trip asking for a post-construction rebate, and this would be if this project would move forward. But again, the intent of tax increment finance is that the development or the construction would not take place if the incentive was not there. So the fact that it's already built kind of defeats the purpose of providing that incentive. So just wanted to point that out first. But going back to this project itself, the development is expected to add between 70 to 80 jobs. If we get to the development agreement phase, we can require minimum wage requirements. So I think in the packet, it's starting off $13 per hour, but the council would have the discretion, the flexibility to maybe require that to be maybe $15 an hour for some of the retail staff. But just wanted to also point out the full-time manager positions as well, the repair manager and the general manager, both between the ranges of $80,000 to $90,000. But going back to kind of the benefit to the city, without this private development occurring, we wouldn't be able to pay for the sewer relining improvements that are projected based off of Chip and I's analysis, the $1.3 kind of $1 million debt obligation you see here in the packet. So that'll cover the sewer relining improvements, which is about $200,000, and then the two traffic signal improvements on the north and south ramp. Again, looking at the city's existing tax base, it would be difficult for us to finance those improvements without this private development occurring. So in addition to the tax increment finance boost to the city of about $4 million, it was also estimated about $58,000 just in sales tax revenue increase to the city as well. In addition, I think these are all ways for us to protect the city with the development agreement. I think before we would even move forward with that, one thing that Chip and our recommendation is a minimum assessed valuation. So before the developer can access the rebate percentages, they would have to meet a minimum assessed value of $10.5 million. And so they're aware of this. And so we've been sharing that through the process. But this application itself is just for the up to $2.25 million. And when we go through the development agreement, these percentages that you see here in the spreadsheet would be in the actual agreement so that they don't exceed the percentages. So we did conservatively estimate like the assessed valuation growth. So it could be that the project over time generates more increment, which would just mean that the city generates more revenue. The developer still stays within the 35% kind of restriction and never goes above 50% over the 20-year life. But so it's our kind of staff recommendation is to approve, again, to be able to not only finance the improvements, but also knowing the city's existing tax increment finance limitations. We currently receive $1.9 million in TIF revenue. Our current TIF obligations are $2.4 million. So do the math, we need to be able to generate more revenue, and this project would be able to kind of assist the city, not only assist a private development, but also help boost the city's revenue to be able to do future improvements, future infrastructure projects that we just approved the list for in a prior agenda item this meeting. So Chip is also on the line, so we are happy to answer any questions. I know the developer and Curtis is also here if they'd like to share anything as well. So
I think Mayor, briefly, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
Nice to see y'all again. My name is Kirk Peterson. I'm here with Ender Singh, who is the owner.
Can you pause for 2 seconds, Kurt, please?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was a good time. Pretty exciting.
I don't want you to talk over him.
I got 5 kids at home. I'm kind of used to
There you go.
over the train, but
Totally get it. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, don't have. I mean, that was a pretty detailed staff packet. And Jolly did a good job of kind of running through all the details again, but maybe just a couple high-level points, and then just making sure that you know that I'm here, Ender's here. We've been working on this for many months now, so we're here if there's any questions you have, we'd like to answer them. But overall, I would just say this really does represent a compromise. We were straight up real when we were here the first time asking for whatever, about double the amount of money, not ashamed about it. When you look at the kind of return analysis and the risk associated with something this big, $21 million investment. But, you know, Jolly's doing his job, and Chip, be honest with you, as we've gone back and forth, saying, sharpen your pencil, make it better. If you want a shot at this council, you know, approving this, then you need to give your very, very best offer, and that's where we're at tonight with all the numbers that Chip's put together that are in your packet. It's really kind of our go, no-go moment. Again, super fast going through, so we kind of have it big picture in our mind, like what's at stake here. So if we get approved tonight and it's true, subject to a development agreement coming back in a month or something like that in the formal ordinance, then, you know, what we end up saying is we're committing to a lot of equity and a lot of debt. You know, you get a little construction loan and everything, $21 million plus. We're gonna have a lot of construction jobs. Our general contractor just, 5 minutes away. A lot of local labor, permanent jobs, 70 to 80 full-time jobs of all. Jolly did a good job. There's an exhibit and application you probably saw from all spectrum of wages. Bringing Dunkin' Donuts, bringing Jimmy John's, bringing chicken, all new places for people to hit to eat from Stuart, let alone all the people that come off the highway. All the sales tax that's generated, all the long-term property tax base that's added. And really, this is less our business and more your city manager and y'all, but the infrastructure that otherwise the money's not there. This project happens, $21 million goes into the ground, and there's enough money for those 2 signals at the 2 ramps and lining the sanitary sewer. This project would make that happen. All the people that recognize TA as a brand, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it's true, that come off the highway and otherwise wouldn't have come off, because that's a big time brand name and that's a big TA, $21 million. This isn't just this. You talked about another TA project. I think, Jolly, you just mentioned that it had been supported in another town near, in Iowa. That was a fraction of the size of this. I don't want to get derailed, but we want to get into that. A fraction of it, and they were excited to have this. This is a very large, significant TA. And just overall, I'd say this is how I get to watch projects like this across the state and really in the region, several states, that when cities decide, no, this is something that's good, and this is the key part, they decide there's enough in it for the city. There's enough in the column of this is positive for the city, and there's enough to make the project happen. It has to be a balance. If it's out of whack, it doesn't work for the developer, project doesn't happen. If it's not good enough for the city, if you can't look at your constituents and say, we're getting all these things out of it, then you shouldn't approve it. But I really believe now at this point, after city managers focused on this and sharpened the pencil with Chip, we are at that point where it's right at the point where developers can do it with this, but nothing less. And there's quite a lot of things, I think, on the ledger for the city. So with that, I would say, just to show, I didn't give all the credentials like I did last time I was here of really the development group, but Ender is really well known, as you know, across the state. And this is the guy, right before the meeting, we talked about this. I said, Ender, like, what are you gonna do here? Well, we're gonna have to focus on other stuff if we can't get this particular public-private partnership done. But even tonight, if we get positively approved to move forward and work on a development agreement with your lawyers and things like that, he said, I would even sit here at his own risk and start cleaning up the horizontal, right? Getting the concrete off and stuff like that, not starting the project till the TIF is formally approved. But that's just in good faith, right? He'd start that if we got a positive tonight and just start getting the site cleaned up and ready to go. So again, a guy of credibility, experience, and wherewithal, that's who you're dealing with. So anyway, if you have questions now or later, I'd love to address any of them that you might have, and of course, leadership too. Thank you for your time, for making time for this new application.
Does anybody have any questions for Kurt? Any questions for Ender? Mr. Belton?
Question I just have is anybody in town that's positively recommending this project? Just a question, who else is gonna move to this town because this shows up? I mean, simply. And the median income in our community is about $65,000 per year per household. It's double that in Earlham. This is gonna draw that down, not bring it up, right? Think of the kind of jobs that are gonna come. And does the job impact count against the discount that you're gonna get from Maverick closing and that building shutting down? I mean, I don't see the benefits of this. If it comes on its own merits, that's fine, let it come. Quickstar didn't get anything. Matt, did Quickstar ask for something when they were building?
No,
They never reached out and asked for
they,
anything?
they have now since sent an email and a conversation indicating that they have, but I can show that they have not.
Okay, so there's been no conversations that they should have received anything?
Matt, you and I have had a conversation.
Yeah,
You said
that's
they
for
did
clarification.
ask.
So Matt, let's clarify that. So we have email documentation where the city staff reached out to them about having city assistance through TIF. They said no, but they wanted tax abatement. We don't offer commercial tax abatement.
There's no structured plan for anything regarding TIF commercial rebate, abatement, or grant. it's all hodgepodge. So, I mean, I think it opens up Pandora's box. We lost the Burger King building to a nonprofit hospital. That was valued at $800,000. We lost Bill Bump's building to Guthrie County Hospital. That's $400,000. So what happens when one of the other places closes and the jobs go with it? Is that counted against this plan that you guys have? I'm just asking. And for the record, Casey's didn't get anything either. We reimbursed them for a road that they paid for. So that was infrastructure that they paid for. That was cheaper for them to do than what it was for the city.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
And you mentioned this is the only way we can pay for our traffic lights?
What I'm saying, without grants, yep, that's the
Okay,
case. but-
so I know, I talked to Forrest, and you said there's some public safety money out there that we
Yeah,
could
so,
probably get?
so Forrest and I have been chatting about that. So the deadline is August 15th for the TSIP, the Traffic Safety Improvement Program through the IDOT. So the purpose, that's an item for later on the agenda, but we're hoping to get some
So
progress.
you just need
moving forward.
direction on that. We need to give him direction on that, right? And then we have like 900,000 coming from the utility board too.
To the
That could
general
help.
fund?
Huh? I believe so.
That's to the general fund.
I believe so.
Yep.
So that would help pay for it, and then if we got the grant, you know, we wouldn't have to use all of that, possibly. I just stick by my thing. I have not had a positive comment from our citizens about giving money to a developer. That's just the way it is. You know, I'm not making up, it's just the way it is. I know, Chip, you said in a couple years, we're gonna have some freed up TIF, is that right? If we get through the 2030?
Yeah, after June 30, 2029 fiscal year, the city will have, the city's existing debt burden will drop down and more TIF will be available after that year.
Okay. So we have a couple years to wait out, you know, but I don't know. I think we have some other options besides that.
Anybody else have anything to discuss?
So I guess my question is, if, either way, if they move forward with the project, whether with our assistance or without, the traffic lights are required by the Iowa DOT. We have to move forward with that? Or, no, okay,
They're warranted.
correct, okay.
I had pulled that from the meeting, his traffic study. They're warranted on it, but there was nothing in it that said that they are mandated.
Okay,
So,
okay.
on there, which I think it'd be probably pretty good, you know, I mean, if that came
Yeah.
in.
I think that's
you
the one
know.
thing I've read people stating is that, yeah, we definitely need traffic lights out there, but
Yeah.
beyond that,
You know, and we're looking at, you know, maybe we need some money in the general fund too, you know. So if we TIF everything, we lose that money in the general fund. Whereas if we don't, they happen to come in anyway, you know, it's their decision if they want to. What if we don't TIF that right away? We get the money in the general fund to help pay for expenses. You know, there's all kinds of different things we could do to get us by on stuff. You know, there's been a lot of creative financing that I've sat down with Chip for, you know, and we've gotten things worked out.
I think, so with the general fund, just wanted to caution everyone, just early forecasting, we're looking at about $26,000 per year with the 2% restriction. But it's not much wiggle room there. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay.
Say something?
Oh, Brenda.
I just wanna, I've heard a lot of positive things about this. I think it maybe depends upon, since you're against it, only people against it are gonna talk to you. But I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard good things, but again, I think it's probably just the people that you interact with and if they feel comfortable being on that side of it. So, you know, I've certainly read things against it and I don't discount that at all. But I have had conversations and, you know, I think there's a couple of people that brought to my attention, like, Maverick, Casey's, Quick Start, they're all across the street from each other in a lot of exits that you get off of. That's kind of the nature of the gas station business. Like, you don't get off on one exit usually, and there's one gas station. So, you know, I've had people bring that up, that we should not develop it because we think Maverick might close when there's a gas station a stone's throw away. So, I agree.
Ender, go ahead.
First of all, Maverick has like almost 2,000 stores all over US. I am Iowa based. Simply Iowa store based company. I live in Westwood now, 25 minutes away from here. When we pick up our GC, our selection was 7 contractor. They were all over in the US, very big companies, cheaper. I pick guy from Minnesota, Burkett Construction, who went because even he wasn't cheap because he was local, right? All our concrete work, all our electricians, plumbers, everybody is around this area, not from outside the state. So I don't see, in my whole life, I've been in Iowa since '93. I do up a lot of stores around here, a lot of remodels around here. I never seen any come and go Casey's closed because of us. That's my 2 cents. Just to let you know. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Ender.
Just as a follow-up, so I know, Brenda, you said you've heard some positive things. They want the truck stop to be built, right? Right, and that's what you're saying, they want it to be built. I want it to be built too. I'm not against having the truck stop. What the people are telling me is, they don't want us to spend their money, and have that development money or the money that we might get, from the increased valuation given back when it could be used to help benefit the city. It's not about not having them there. That's not the issue. They're against us voting to rebate the money. That's the issue that the people are having when they talk to me. They say we'd be more than happy to have them.
Okay. Anybody else? I know this has been a big topic for several months, so if nobody else has any discussion, I'll take a motion one way or another.
Can I offer one item? And I respectfully, certainly acknowledge this is a council decision.
Go ahead, Joe.
This
Yep.
is a little bit unique with, in terms of the history of how Stuart has handled development agreements. That, to my memory, this and Carl Chevrolet are the only two that are truly self-supporting if the council decides to support this. So, again, fully recognizing this is a council decision, but that's one aspect of this that is fair to consider. So, thank you.
Thanks, Chip.
It wouldn't be pulling from the existing city tax base. It would just be from the project itself to help drive not only the future improvements, but also to assist in making the project work. That's the intent of tax increment finance. The project does not take place, or the incentive does not happen if the project, would move forward. So that's the difference between the quick trip analysis or the email we received and like the pre-construction development discussion we're having right now. This is legitimately, the developer's putting more equity into the project to get this to work, and it's a much larger scale than the existing users we have. So this is 26,000 square feet. The next competitor was 14,000, so nearly double the scale. And plus with the truck repair center, I think we just need to open our eyes more to kind of what we're talking about with the certified site, industrial development. Having a nearby truck repair center, that's something that's right off the interstate too, could be an added benefit to driving logistics, distribution in our town as well. So trying to help paint the picture of this, not focusing on just this one user, but what it can open up for future developments as well. So.
Mayor.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say, the only caveat to that development agreement with Carl, I think the minimum pay rate is $20 an hour.
Yep.
So that would exceed our median income value and raise that relative to Berlin. So I mean, if you look at towns around us, are you gonna bring it down by doing a public-private partnership, or are you gonna bring it up? And, I mean, giving an unfair competitive advantage to someone else versus the other people not having that is, I agree, Mike, I mean, if on merit, totally understand that, but, picking winners and losers isn't good when you're lowering your median income per household.
Kurt?
I was just gonna add, Mayor, if you don't mind, because we're all, and I mean this, I respect it, it's the same way I was brought up, we're all kind of, they always say Midwest nice, you know, so nobody wants to come across, including me, ever as saying something that's a threat, and this isn't a threat, but it's the idea. The whole idea that Jolly, if I can piggyback on what you're saying, is, you have India here saying like, I wanna go big here, I wanna do something really big, because it's about as big as you've ever done, 21 million, with the 3 restaurants, everything, I won't repeat it all. If I'm doing that, it's not, I have opportunity cost, right? I only have so much equity, so much ability to take out construction loans, et cetera. We haven't talked about, I mean, he's got a lot of opportunities in the hopper that we talked about. So if he doesn't do this, we don't get the increment, we don't get that additional money. It's not, well, let's just let him go build it, let's just let him do it, and then we'll, as the taxpayer, understand, I'm not giving anybody a hard time, but it just doesn't work like that. You don't just, the reason we spend all these months and he hasn't just built it is because he actually needs it. Like I said, the city leadership has sharpened the pencil and gotten down to that last kind of place where, yeah, I'll still do it, otherwise, you just gotta go and do other stuff. And you hear I started the way I did, it's not like a, threat or something, it's just, it's like money. And so when there's other opportunities to go elsewhere, there isn't gonna be the taxes that the resident was saying, well, let's just keep all the taxes and use it for stuff we need. This is saying, let's keep, help me do the math, let's keep 65% for 10 years of the money, let's keep 50% for 9 more years, and let's keep roughly another 65% for 1 more year. So that's why it's a public-private partnership. It doesn't mean anybody has to vote for this tonight and move it forward, I don't mean it, but at least we gotta all acknowledge, like, that's what it's all about. Let's create value together and get a lot more than that resident will otherwise have to spend on city programs and get some infrastructure, or we just gotta do other stuff and move on. And that doesn't mean, again, that somebody, oh, God, you move on, then we're voting for it. No, but it is a reality. So thanks just for letting me say that, maybe in a clearer way.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
By us offering TIF, does that affect how the school can collect, or what the amount that they can collect off of taxes?
So the school already, per Iowa code, there are certain like debt service levies, like PPL, that are already excluded. But for us to get this, like the TIF ordinance established before December 31, that would allow us to capture $4 million. If we were to come back and let's say developer wanted to come back and develop, and maybe we had a lower amount, January 1 is the trigger for the school foundation levy being removed. And so instead of $4 million, it's a 15% reduction because we can't capture that $5.40 levy that's being driven down too. So that's kind of why this is a little bit urgent. And still, I think going back to the wage thing too, we can still iron all that stuff out in development agreement. This is just the TIF application for the amount of up to $2.25 million. So I want to clarify that it's up to that amount, or it's when the 20 years ceases. And so that way, let's say that there's additional increment or evaluation that spikes the project, the developer's not coming out with more than 2.25. We're limiting what they can actually access. So, but yeah, going back to your question, the December 31 is the trigger between what the school can collect, a portion of it, so.
Is that what you meant by your question, or were you saying, like, if we TIF this, does the school lose out on their 1/3?
Yeah, I guess that's
They
kind of what
do.
I'm asking.
They do lose out on that with any TIF thing.
Yep.
However, the state kind of backfills them a little bit,
They get
right at this point?
Yeah, they get backfill for the.
Yeah.
I think it's the school foundation levy, and then also there's a separate.
That's correct.
Yep, there's a separate kind of 88% kind of improvement they get, but the whole point of them removing the 540 based off the state legislature so that they can collect that, and the state's going to stop the backfill. That's the transaction that they're.
So the school's not actually losing anything out.
That's a tricky question. So it depends on how you interpret the 20-year life. So Chip, I'd let you defer you on this, but the school benefits in the long run on the use of tax increment finance, just with building increment generation over the life. But
The school benefits in the long run if the city reduces its TIF capture. So that's ultimately if we're trying to balance the benefit both for the school and the city should truly try to reduce its TIF capture every year.
Have we been doing that, or have we been capturing more? What's our track record like?
The city's been going in the other direction.
That's my problem.
So, yep, that's very true. So, I think there's many layers to this situation as you look at this development. So it's there's been a lot of city projects accomplished, so it's to look at this one in an isolated, lens is, there's a lot of layers to it, I think is what I want to try to share. But, the city captures a lot of TIF, there's no doubt about it. And that, ideally, that should be reduced.
Mayor.
Sorry, go ahead,
School
Kurt.
stuff, just because that's one of the most common things that comes up, no matter where you're at with tax and financing, is how's it affecting schools? So if I could just offer a couple tidbits that we're all digesting it all. One thing we look at is, are we increasing cost for the school district? That's what I always look at, because sometimes, again, not here, but just saying, sometimes there's things like multifamily development or mixed use or something like that, and there could be additional kids, that kind of stuff. We don't really have that directly here. And then the other is just really this calculus, if this, pencil sharpened public-private partnership doesn't go. So the project doesn't go, or doesn't go like this, it's much smaller, it's something different. And how long will it be into the future before that happens? That's the kind of math also that comes into account for the school district, because the school district's not getting anything positive right now, based on what's out there. So it's not just, I don't know exactly what, I'm not in Chip's brain, so I don't know when he says it's multiple layered. But when he says it, I start going, oh yeah, it's multiple layered, which, again, everybody's gotta make their own decision, but there's a lot, even the finance formula stuff, there's a lot going on here. But you know what I wanna do, I wanna build a project, so I'm not unbiased, but I'll tell you, nobody's doing okay. School district, city, residents, anybody is doing great with what's going on there right now. From a tax perspective, from a amenity, there's nothing. And the question you gotta answer is something really gonna happen that good or good enough for you without this partnership and kind of weighing it all out? So I agree, it's multiple, a lot of layers.
Hey, Jolly, you said something about wages. How is it possible for a city to dictate what a company pays their employees?
We restricted I'd have to look back at the Carl Chevrolet agreement, but we did the same thing with theirs.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of new, so we just write it in there?
So you can have specific clauses, that requires like minimum wages, so it's typical to like the Carl Chevrolet development agreement. So we've already got an existing historical example that we can pull from, so yeah.
A lot of thinking going on.
I feel like we asked for a compromise, we asked for negotiations, we asked for something to show that the city's winning, and I think that we got that tonight. I think that, we can talk about whether the traffic lights are warranted or required, but I think that we know the general population wants them. We get a handful of complaints about that intersection anyway, so I feel like that I'll make a motion that we approve the tax increment application as submitted for consideration up to 2.25 million in performance-based assistance.
Okay, motion by Capps.
I'll second.
Second by Nelson. How do you vote? Caldwell?
No?
Capps?
Yes.
Ingworth?
No.
Nelson?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
All right.
would like to say if the residents do not like this passing, that they are willing, or they're welcome to put a petition together and let us know.
Okay, moving on, we're gonna skip down to G. While Chip's on the phone, so resolution number 26-16C, resolution relating to the financing of proposed projects to be undertaken by the city of Stuart, Iowa, establishing compliance with the reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code. Go ahead, Chip.
Thank you. So this simply protects the city's ability to reimburse. The reimbursement would be reimbursing any electric fund from the Stuart Municipal Utilities cash spent on the substation project. Because the city is proposed to be the financing entity for general obligation debt for the substation, this protects any reimbursement of that electric fund cash. Just protects your ability to issue future tax exempt debt to reimburse that cash as opposed to taxable. So still subject to further steps from each body as we go forward on the project, and glad to answer any questions after that.
Any questions for Chip regarding that? I think you got let off easy, Chip. Nobody doesn't have any questions for you. Okay.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Thanks, Chip.
Are we doing a motion on that?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
That we accept.
Motion by Cobble,
A second.
second by Caps. How do you vote? Cobble?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Nelson?
Abstain.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chip. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chip. He's still, probably not.
He's already gone.
He's going.
No, I don't blame
He
you.
has other commitments.
I don't blame you.
All right, we'll move on. Letter C. Approval of first reading of special events policy ordinance 26-02C, ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Stuart, Iowa by adding chapters 126 regarding special events and public safety requirements. Turn it over to Jolly.
Mayor and council, before you is first reading for a special events ordinance adoption. With this one, anyone organizing a special event must obtain a special permit at least 14 days in advance. Recurring events just need to apply once during a calendar year, and it would cover the full year. But this is, like we talked about the last meeting, about cost recovery. So this is going to be an example where public safety, so our police chief, our fire chief, EMS director would be able to kind of review each event to determine if we need additional staff at the event, and if so, the ordinance gives us the ability to bill them for the cost of having our staff at the event. So the city can require event organizers to reimburse the city and the final payment is going to be due within 30 days. But the city council can exclude certain events, like maybe Good Egg Days, we wouldn't want that, or any other kind of city related events can be excluded from the ordinance, but that would be subject to individual events. But I think as for now, just moving the first reading, and then we can either go to second reading next month, or if the council's comfortable, we can kind of waive the second and third, but that'd be ultimately up to the council. So. But this has all gone through city attorney review and approval prior to today, so.
Are you talking waiving the second and third next month? Or doing the first reading
It could be,
You could,
you could do the first reading and then waive the second and third.
tonight?
Yep.
Okay. I'd make that motion that we approve the first reading and waive the second and third reading of the ordinance.
Motion by Cobble,
I'll second.
second by Ingers. How do you vote? Cobble?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay. All right, D, resolution number 26-18C, a resolution approving the fiscal year 2026-2027 salaries for non-union employees. Turn it back over to Jolly.
So before you is a resolution approving the cost of living adjustment, so just for the fiscal year that started July 1, 2026, And so it's typical for cities to match kind of union negotiated cost of living adjustments with their union employee contracts. So per the agreement established by Stuart Municipal Utilities and the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, Local Union 55, the negotiated salary increase was 4% for the past fiscal year, the current fiscal year, and the next one. So for this recommendation, it's just for the current fiscal year for its non-union employees. But one thing that we're working on right now is next month or in October is going to be approval of our employee handbook. Along with that, job descriptions will be developed for each employee, and then also a performance review system. And so that's something that will be implemented for the fiscal year 2028 potential approval. But like I mentioned before, we just have to be aware of the circumstances we're going to be in. And next fiscal year, July 1, 2027, we're restricted to 2% year over year, essentially, for the city's general fund. So just early forecasting, we're around $30,000 increase, which is not significant. So the budget workshops will be very interesting, I think. So we'll probably start those here in December instead of usually doing them January, February, just so we have multiple sessions for prioritization. But for this specific action, it would just be for the current fiscal year for the list of non-union employees that are in your packet. So happy to answer any questions.
From past experience, I think it's kind of been 4% through the years, so I don't personally have an issue with that. I'd make a motion to accept this.
Okay, motion by Caldwell,
I'll second it.
second by Russell. How do you vote? Caldwell?
Yes.
Caps?
Abstain?
Ingers?
No.
Nelson?
Since I'm a union member, I am also abstaining.
Okay, Russell?
Yes.
All right. Okay, letter E, resolution number 26-19C, resolution approving change order number 2, in the amount of $5,923.50. Final pay estimate number 1 of $205,336.39, and accepting completion of the 2026 street improvement project. I'll turn this over to Forrest.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is our only pay estimate that we received. They did all the work, and Josh and I looked at the project. The one thing I just talking to Josh about is we weren't sure if they got the joint sealed or not on a couple patches. What we'd recommend to the council is approving the project tonight, subject to them getting the joint sealed and not paying the retainage until that work is done.
Yeah, I agree. And that's for the full depth patching, the PCC?
Yeah, North
Yep.
6th and at Southeast 7th down by McDonald's.
Oh, okay, yeah, right, okay, yep.
I'll make that motion from Force's recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Nelson, second by Caldwell. How do you vote? Caldwell?
Yes.
Caps?
Yes.
Ingers?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay. F, Stuart Division Street Traffic Study Presentation. Again, I'll turn it over for us.
All right. So the study was 400 and some pages long, so.
We don't need all
What
that.
happened? I need to fall asleep.
So if you do want to read that and fall asleep, Dolly has the copy. Yes. More than happy to
Put it on
send
tape.
to you.
Just being happy to listen to it.
So I just kind of summarized it here in, I don't know what this is, 6 pages. Oh, I see. So if you flip to the second page, we looked at the intersections by the interstate. We looked at the intersection by McDonald's, and then the 2 ramps, and then we looked at the intersections to the south of Interstate 80. Slowed things down because Travel America also is required to do a traffic study, so they did the traffic study for the south part. They did not do the McDonald's, and so the traffic study, the 400 pages plus, is actually a mesh of both studies together. That study was submitted to the Iowa Department of Transportation. They have approved that study. The warrants were met, and if you go to the next page, there's 9 warrants that you look at when you're looking at traffic signals. Some of them don't apply next to railroad tracks, next to a school. But the ones that we cared about were 1, 2, 3, and 8 is the ones that we looked at and the ones we cared about. And the ramps met warrants number 3, which is peak hour, which is what everybody, the residents are seeing is the peak hour. So that's where the warrants are met at the 2 ramps. We did not meet any of the warrants at McDonald's or at the Southeast 13th. We did not meet warrants. The traffic is not enough there. The projections from the businesses from Travel America are not there to warrant those. And the warrants just mean that that they're allowed now, that we have permission to do them. It's not saying that we have to do them. And that was Councilman Russell brought that up. So we can do them now, and the DOT is on board with allowing them. But if the city council chose not to do it, that is perfectly within the council's purview. So we did meet the warrants, and that's this warrant report. Those first couple pages are just summaries showing that the warrants were met were for the P3. And then what everybody cares about is the funding. And so the estimated project cost for the traffic signals at the 2 ramps is somewhere around $700,000. The Iowa DOT has Traffic Safety Improvement Program, and in part of that is they have a category for buying the equipment, the signal heads, the masts and the arms and everything. And so they have a category that we can apply for to get funding for that. The maximum they'll allow is $500,000. We estimate the materials costs of that is probably about 50%. So of that $700,000, somewhere around $350,000 to $400,000 is the materials cost. Fun part is the application's due Friday. So, and they only take them once a year.
Oh, get on that.
And yeah. And so, and you don't find out till if you're funded till January, and you can't use the money till July. So if we miss the August 15th deadline, gotta wait a whole year. I talked to the staff this afternoon, and they said we can get it done. We can get that application turned in. We do need a letter of support from the mayor. So if the council wants to move forward with this, I'd ask the mayor to provide that. And so that's kind of what we're recommending. Is the first question is the council even interested in applying for this funding to put signals there? And if you are, we'll move forward with that and then direct us to do that application. The other funding I put on the bullet points, tax increment financing, TIF, of course, that we've been talking about. That could be used for the matching funds, and road use taxes also could be used, but that pulls money for other things around town that I think Josh would rather spend the money on than traffic signals. But that is an option to use road use tax funds. I did have just a couple additional slides here, or handouts. There's been quite a bit of discussion about that offset down there at Travel America at Southeast 13th, south of Quick Star, and how is that going to be handled without lights. So what there is if there is a truck or a vehicle going northbound on 13th and they want to turn into the Travel America, and there's a vehicle going north on Division, wants to turn left into the new Travel America. A vehicle going south on Division wants to go left into Quick Star. There's kind of there'll be a conflict there. So on the very last page, this is what the Travel America traffic engineer came up with for a solution, and I think this will work fine, which is basically not allowing a northbound vehicle on Division to be able to turn left into Travel America site. They'd stripe it so that there's no left turn lane and there'd be no left turn arrows. That's not allowed. And most of the traffic's not coming from the south anyway, as we know, it's all coming from the north. So I did want to bring that up, that was the proposed solution for that, because I know there's been a lot of questions about that. So the questions for the council really tonight is, do you want to move forward with a application, or just because you get it doesn't mean you have to agree to it. This would just be, is there interest in putting up traffic lights at these two ramp locations and directing Jolly and I to put together an application.
Do you need a motion for that, or just do it?
Just a
Probably,
recommendation,
yeah.
yeah.
I say do it.
I got a couple questions otherwise.
Sure.
So we decide to move forward, we put the traffic lights in. What does that look like for us for ongoing costs and maintenance?
There is, yeah, you would take over ownership of those, and there are ongoing, I don't have the numbers tonight, but there is ongoing maintenance, there's power costs, there's having to go out there and change they're LED bulbs anymore, so that, changing the bulb isn't a thing anymore, but there is maintenance costs, but yes.
So,
And sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think we could potentially look at a system like DeSoto has, with their traffic light cameras. Generally, I think those are no cost. The vendor usually puts them in. We support them. We had a motion at a joint meeting with the utility board where they would assist in running the electric out there. And any revenue, if we did put in the traffic cameras, we could split that and then kind of reimburse them like 15%. We keep 85% at that point too. So that's a kind of an option I think we probably should look at and consider going forward. We don't decide it here tonight, but yeah, and they were willing to help us out with running electric and stuff out there if we could look at something like that.
in talking to the traffic engineers at the DOT, I did ask that question, what's the maintenance look like on something like that? And they said, you're pretty good until about 10 years.
Oh,
So you
that's
get
all
about,
right. Yeah.
about good 10 years.
Yeah, that's good.
Before you really start, and like Forrest said, there's just your routine maintenance, your bulbs or whatever, but you'd most definitely want to have, I'm not saying that we need to throw the whole kitchen sink at it, but you would want to have a good updated traffic light where, you could switch it over to a manual and everything else. I think what do they call that, like the police?
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Opticom.
Well, not that, there's a switch in the cabinet that you can kind of do it by hand where you could change patterns, like if there's a wreck on the interstate and you're detouring traffic up the ramp and back on. And that's an option that you should have, which I think if this is the way you guys want to go, we should probably look into that option.
Yeah, I think we should look into
Yeah.
that type of stuff once we.
For sure. And my next question for us, if the stoplights do go there, I've kind of been looking at that road aspect of things. Would the DOT or Adair County let us widen that out where we'd have a turn lane in there? Because if we don't have a turn lane where those are, we're gonna back traffic up on that bridge and,
Yeah, we would need to do some reconfiguration of those intersections. Yeah, I don't know what that looks like, but that's part of that 700 is.
it is, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So it wasn't just for the stoplights,
Right.
it's for the road, for like maybe a turn lane
Right.
to turn left on.
Nice.
Okay, okay.
And they're pretty wide now, but it's
Yeah.
kind of a no man's land. They're so big, there's a kind
Right.
of a.
You
so,
get
yeah,
people parking
yeah,
like.
So that
next
would be
to each
part
other.
of this.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect.
And what's the general lifespan of these systems?
Traffic signals?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, is this a every 20-year thing? We're gonna have to potentially refresh this, or it's just things we got to think about in the future.
Sure.
Future council's issues.
Where are you going?
All right. Anybody else have any questions for Forrest on this topic?
And then you did state that if we move forward, we submitted the application, we got awarded the application, still doesn't necessarily mean that we have to go forward with the project in general.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I mean, I see no reason not to move forward like you
Yeah,
Might as
said.
well apply.
I'm in favor of moving forward.
I agree.
Yeah.
Is that all you need, just direction? Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Forrest.
much.
Thanks, Forrest. Appreciate it.
All right. Mayor's report, so I'll be quick. I think Jolly's gonna be a little bit longer than me. So, this past month, we attended the barbecue for the city staff. Had a good turnout for that, and hopefully that continues, maybe 1 or 2 times a year or whatever. So that was good, super fun. Also attended the National Night Out before it started raining. The rain kind of put a damper on some things, but it seemed like it was still a good turnout. So, also spoke at the Stuart Chamber Connection Night, kind of giving the town people just kind of a heads up on what's coming up, just a little updates that was coming up. So that's all I had. So I'll turn that over to the city administrator. Clerk report.
So you stole my thunder there too. But,
Sorry.
Over the last month, I've definitely made an effort to get out and engage myself with the public. So I was also at the Community Connections Night, kind of introducing myself to the chamber members, but also wanted to mention that Matt and I were also at the chamber golf outing as well. So on my 31st birthday, in case anyone's wondering, but so had a great time. We ended up getting the highest score, which is you don't want to do that. So, well, we had fun. So, but just an update for this month, we will have the auditors here potentially this month or early next month doing our fiscal year 2026 audit. So it's always a process where you want to make sure, obviously, we get everything to the auditors, but it's something that we take, very seriously as staff, that, we make sure that we don't have, any major audit findings as well. So always room for improvement with items like that, and that's something that, we'll take kind of what's provided with those results and obviously create continuous improvement in our city hall staff. So but yeah, overall, it's been a great month and a half now, so I just wanted to thank the community, but everyone's been very welcoming and excited for the next months ahead, so, and years, hopefully. So that's all for me.
All right, thank you. All right, department heads reports, they're all in your packet. Do appreciate them going in the council, what's been happening in their department. Do appreciate that. Council members, do you guys have anything to report out? None? All right, everybody waiting for this? All right, with that being said, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.